Hello, everybody. Welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door and join us for Championship Review Round 29. We are a day later than we would normally be, given Brentford and Barnsley playing yesterday and it being Valentine's Day as well. So join me as we go through, we'll go through the 12 fixtures that didn't all take place this weekend in the Championship, and I would love to hear your input on all of the action as we go through. We'll go game by game. We'll go from the top of the table all the way down, and at the end, I've just put the poll up, actually. We'll do goal of the week and team of the week. So be thinking about that one already. We will start at the top in just about 30 seconds' time with Norwich 4, Stoke 1, Norwich moving back to the top. First of all, let me just do a couple of plugs. Thank you to our fan sponsor, Russ Peake, a fan and now friend, despite Ben's terrible taste in football teams. Russ got involved over on Patreon. You can subscribe to via Patreon. Lots of good stuff. The first Classics Reviewed show is recording tonight. Very excited about that. Patreon. Going to get that a month before the clips go on YouTube. You can support directly via Super Chat any point during the broadcast. First Super Chat in a stream becomes the king of the bin and owns the sponsorship to the fake news sin bin for the duration of the show. Of course, if you're watching on YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook and see anything shaped like that, click on it right now. Most importantly, get your comments in during the show. Please hit subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. There is your running order ticking along the bottom. Help me out. Someone always comes in late and says, has he done Forest yet? Has he done Blackburn yet? You tell him in the chat. Look down the bottom there. And there is the running order. Let's say hello to Edward and James, Gaza, George, NCFC Dons, Mr. E, Eli. Barnsley fans are out in force today, aren't they? Chris, Alistair, who's skiving work yet again, and Alex. Right, let's do this. Here are your results from the weekend. It was on Friday night, Blackburn 1, Preston 2. Early kickoff, Forest 0, Bournemouth 0. Help if I put them on the screen, wouldn't it? Birmingham 0, Luton 1. Cardiff 3, Coventry 1. Derby 2, Borough 1. Huddersfield 2, Wickham 3. Norwich 4, Stoke 1. Reading 1, Millwall 2. Postponements at Rotherham and Wednesday. Watford 6. How do I say 6? Bristol City 0. Brentford 0. Barnsley 2. Let's start at the top. And I would say we have new leaders. They've been top for about 6 months, haven't they? Norwich regaining their lead this weekend. And our Michael Jordan theory is still working. Buendia goes away, Norwich bad. Buendia returns, Norwich good. Until it's debunked, I'm rolling with it. But Buendia returns for Norwich. They win 4-1. He is top of pass completion, key passes. He gets a goal and assist and wins a penalty. So, you do the math. There are your teams in this one. Stoke, 1 win in 15 in all competitions. Ouch for Stoke. Not good at all. Pressure building on Michael O'Neill. Those beautiful parachute payments run out at the end of this season. And you can have all of the Bet365 money you like, but you can only spend 13 million quid of it with FFP nowadays. So pressure pushing down on me. Krill in goal for Norwich. Aarons, Hanley, Gibson, Janulis, McLean and Skip. Did Skip get injured? It says Skip went off. I can't see when because I can't scroll down far enough. Let me know in the comments if you know about that. Cantwell, Vrancic at 10. Buendia, the man, returns. And Teemu Pukki, a goal-shy Teemu Pukki at the moment. Going to score 2 in this one up top. Angus Gunn, returning to the club where his father was a legend. Collins, Suter, Chester, Fox, Allen, Mikel, Clark, Lucas, Powell, Fletcher up top. Let's have a look at the goals in this one. Now, this would have been a brilliant goal. It's really annoying, actually, because Norwich pass it out the back really nicely. just a Stoke player touches it before Vrancic backheels it. It's really good from Cantwell, drives in from the right-hand side, gets a little bit of a lucky touch off the Stoke player, but then excellent from Vrancic. And look at that for a finish by Cantwell. Going to squeeze that in the corner to Gunn's left. Good goal. Nearly a really good goal, wasn't it? I don't know what Angus Gunn is doing on this one. Buendia, as ever, superb. Like half volley assist. Gunn's feet just get stuck, don't they? Can't sort his feet out. Can he just dive on the ball or dive in front of Pookie's? Kind of, you know where they play that drum roll thing in Tom and Jerry? They need to play it for that. And Pookie needed a goal, didn't he? I think 1 goal from open play in 7 prior to this or something like that. Pookie scores for 2-0 just before half-time. Giannoulis, Greek left-back, hang your head in shame. Terrible mistake by him. Passes across the box and gives it to Nick Powell. Not the guy to give the ball to. Is there anybody in the division better from central midfield arriving late and scoring than Nick Powell? He's very, very good in that regard. This is a brilliant goal. What a goal this is. Buendia, touch, switch of play from the right-hand side. Giannoulis on the left, comes in, cuts it back, and with his weak foot, first time, he's going to stick that in the far corner. Brilliant from Buendia. Absolutely brilliant. What a player. And down he goes for a penalty. We've had a few dubious ones at Norwich this season. This probably isn't one of them. You can see Alan catches Buendia. It's 2021. Go down, mate. You'll get a penalty. Up steps Pookie and a double for Teemu Pookie. Buendia returns Norwich back to the top of the league, and we'll see if they can keep him on the pitch for the rest of the season and put another good streak on. Let's have a look at the table. The Brentford result going for Norwich yesterday. We'll talk about them in a second. And back to 2 points per game. So if there was any panic at Norwich amongst Norwich fans, I'd be surprised if there was. That would be a little bit irrational, I would suggest. But Buendia returns, 2 points per game, win. Away they go. And 5 points clear of Swansea. Yes, Swansea have 2 games in hand. But let's not be silly and add 6 points on. It doesn't work like that because literally the best team in the league at the moment is Norwich, and they only get 2 points per game. So even if you add 2 points on, then Norwich would still be ahead of Swansea with the games in hand taken into account. More worryingly, and I'd love to hear from Stoke fans about this, is Stoke's form. Obviously, they've drawn 12 times, which somehow is second to Millwall, who've managed to draw more games than that. But they're in really bad form, aren't they? I always say about a pragmatic team, you're never far away from a long winless streak if things don't go so well. And it's a bad one for Stoke now. Just that one game, I was there actually against Blackburn, that one win in 15 since I think December the 5th, and 7 points off the playoffs now, Stoke. We'll discuss whether you think the playoffs are a lock at the moment. But, yeah, not a good run. Right, what are you guys saying? Right, Skip had a bang to the head, stayed on. Should have gone off, however, we took him off after about 10 minutes. Okay, good news for Skip. We have to be careful with these head injuries. Buendia was sensational on Saturday, says James. Did feel like everyone stepped up their game, and it wasn't just... Yeah, I don't think there's any idea that he's a one-man team, but he certainly just raises the level of... I love the look he gave Giannoulis as well after he set up that goal, as if to say, you made that mistake down there. That was good, but I set the standards here, and you got to keep it high. What else have we got here? Big bounce-back win for Norwich when Buendia plays. It takes the focus off Cantwell, whom thus thrives. Exactly. Excellent work. Neil says, never looked like a 4-1 game, but Norwich were better by some distance when it mattered. Supposedly an injury to the eye rather than... Okay. Good. Okay, so as long as he's okay. Norwich are so good due to fantastic squad depth. Yep, very, very well. And having the best player in the division helps as well, and a parachute payment. But they are looking very, very nice, aren't they? Stoke looked toothless. Actually, had chances. Yes, they did, didn't they? Fletcher got in behind Mel, but they signed a load of wingers didn't they? Looking at the position Stoke took. There you go, in the window. I think O'Neill was already thinking the big push will come next season. However, the extended pool run is worrying. I think they will rebound. 3 for 2, says NCFC Dons for the top spots there. 2 home games for Stoke next. The manager need a win in those. I think he does, Mr. E. Remember, this is Stoke, who are in the Premier League for ages, who are, in the third year. Okay, it's not Michael O'Neill's fault that there was chaos and Rowett didn't work, and then they gave Nathan Jones a load of players. He's done well, but at championship level, they're better than 1 win in 15 games for sure. I know there's a couple of cup games in those ones as well. A couple of cup games against good teams as well, if I remember correctly. There we go. Norwich 4, Stoke City 1. And the streak is over. It was Brentford 0, Barnsley 2. We did this on a watch along. All credit to Brentford. What a brilliant, brilliant streak of 21 games. Undefeated, but here come Barnsley, and quite the performance from the Tykes, wasn't it? There are your teams. Raya in goal, Dalsgaard, Pinnock, Sorensen, Henry, Godos, Janelt, De Silva, Canos and Buemo, Tony Strong. Brentford team. Collins in goal for Barnsley, Solbauer, Hellick, Anderson, Styles, Britton, wing-backs, Palmer, Mowat, Chaplin, Morris, DK, first time me seeing him. And it's almost like Barnsley are just the worst possible opponents for Brentford, aren't they? There is no one in the league presses like Barnsley, and maybe a Norwich or a Huddersfield. There's no one else in the league that will steadfastly play through from the back. We saw Steve Cooper for Swansea get this absolutely right and go direct to beat Barnsley, didn't we? But Brentford, obviously Thomas Frank is a sort of Bielsa type absolutist, wouldn't change the style, and Barnsley did a great number on Brentford yesterday. There's the opening goal. Britton, who was very good yesterday, the right wing back, crossing in for Chaplin, who finishes from close range. And just after half-time, Carlton, Morris, it's not good from Ethan Pinnock. You can see there's a blur on the floor. There, gets his feet all in a muddle from DK's cross, and Morris puts it home. What did that do to the league table? Well, it did mean that Brentford, for the first time in 21 games, lose and give top spot back to Norwich after just the 1 week. Big picture for Brentford. What I will say is well done, brilliant run, and you won't play a team like Barnsley or a team that plays like Barnsley. Well, let me put my neck on the line again this season. They're quite unique in the way the 3 centre-backs are virtually trying to get to halfway the entire game, and those 5 players, the wing-backs and the front 3, press. So I wouldn't be too worried if I were a Brentford fan. For Barnsley, brilliant. They had the run of 3 games and 3 defeats against Watford, Norwich and Swansea, and we all said, Barnsley are a mid-table team, and there is the proof because they can't beat the top teams. However, they've now beaten Brentford. But I will go back and say this does feel tactically like a good matchup for Barnsley, doesn't it? However good Brentford are. And remember, there are other teams that will not steadfastly play out from the back all game, that will just say, Barnsley are going to press us, goal kicks, push up to halfway, get that ball forward, get them on the back foot. There's plenty of teams that will do that. So it's almost like, I don't sound weird, it's almost like Brentford's a good opponent for Barnsley, but they were brave, they were ambitious, they were intense. It was a really good performance by Barnsley. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Didn't see this result for Brentford. No, I didn't see that one coming. Maybe Barnsley took a lot of confidence from the Chelsea game. Indeed. Russ says, I live in Norwich. I want to find out Buendia lives. I just want a word just to put him off. There you go. Barnsley, my favourite team to watch in the league. Full of energy and attack, constantly tactically wise. Worried Barnsley fan. As Mowat out of contrast. Yeah, they won't get paid for Mowat, but they will for Styles. Big stuff. This one was a bit of a shock, but after Barnsley's brave performance against Chelsea, I feel the confidence must have been high. Still think Brentford are going comfortably up this season. 2 Pinnock mistakes. Ex-Barnsley player. Conspiracy theories ahoy. There we go. What else have we got? James, even though results haven't gone our way, performance has been solid. I think a result like this was coming against the top 6 teams. Agreed. Brentford have got into some slack habits, conceding first, need to tighten up defensively overall. Not certain which way it will go now after last season. Britain is yet to have a bad game. Britain was my man of the match, Eli, yesterday, and he ended up in central midfield. I thought he was brilliant. Some winnable games coming up. Famous last words, isn't it? Now, whether we can get playoffs, well, it's a long way. We'll talk about the playoff gap in just a second, won't we? If Barnsley can truly build on this result, they could finish top 8. Brilliant run from Brentford, but Barnsley looked excellent on the day. Expect a beast bounce. Me too. Everything worked. If one person doesn't press, then it falls apart. Absolutely. They got it bob on, didn't they, Barnsley? Thought they were really, really good yesterday. And again, if any Brentford fans are worried, they're just not going to come up against that again this season. Right. Sheffield Wednesday v Swansea was postponed. So if I just flash up, we should still be able to flash up the league table with those 2 positions. Obviously, Sheffield Wednesday and Swansea, 2 teams in good form. So they will have wanted to play, likely. And now this fixture goes into the end of the season. Let me just scroll that up a little bit more. So Swansea, well, I mean, if you're really accentuating the positive, win the 2 games in hand and they're top of the league. But we all know we're going to start getting, as Mick McCarthy would say, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday. You'd rather have the points on the board, wouldn't you, in this of all seasons? But Steve Cooper has been a very astute manager this season and managed to get over most hurdles that have been put in front of him. So we'll see how he goes with that one. Wednesday, one of the rising tide teams down the bottom. They're back into that bottom 3 after the Derby victory, aren't they? But could still do it, couldn't they? Could still do it. It's very tight down there. We'll talk about relegation area and the bottom 6, bottom 8, I suppose we need to say now, in a hot minute. Right. Watford 6. Bristol City 0 is the next one. And of course, the story was out goes Deeney, out goes Gray, tweak of the system. Watford scores 6. Cat amongst the pigeons there in the Watford squad. Sema looked with 2. Sarr was outstanding, 2 goals, 2 assists for him. João Pedro, the starting striker. Interesting. There you go. There's the tweak team. Backman, Firmino, Ekong, Sierralta and Messina is the normal back 4. And then, just a little switch around there. So 3 central midfielders, Chalobah, Hughes, cleverly. And this is after we've seen Watford. I remember doing them away at Stoke and they're trying to force a midfield 4 with 3 central midfielders in. And it looks so obvious now. Play 4-3-3. Sarr, a little bit narrower. Does that make him more dangerous? We know he should be lethal at championship level, shouldn't he? Sema down the left. I think we've seen him left back as well as left midfield this season. And João Pedro starts up top. For Bristol City, 9 defeats in 12 games now for them. 4 straight defeats. Bentley in goal. Viner Callas more. Viner having to drop back into centre half after being deployed as a central midfielder. Now Alfie Mawson has gone back again to Fulham with an injury. That I feel a bit sorry for Bristol City. This happened with Benik last season where they ploughed a lot of money into presumably a big loan fee and loan wages, and the player just wasn't available to them all season. Hunt and Towler are the wing-backs trying to solve the left-sided conundrum at Bristol City. Unfortunately, Ismail Assar was not in the mood to play nicely with Moore and Towler. It was never going to end well, was it? Patterson, Lansbury, Masengo, Jeju and Semenyo. Bristol City fans will also point out Chris Martin is now out for the season. They have had some injuries to some key players, haven't they? I know a lot of people have had a lot of injuries this season, but when it knocks out your absolute key players, as we saw with Reading's little dip when Richards, Zhao and Swift and Maite were all out at the same time. It more often than not matters who's injured rather than how many. There's the opening goal, bit of a blurry one, but Sarr cuts it back. It hits Taylor Moore. I think they've given the goal to Ken Semmer. I think it's not an own goal, which I always prefer it to be given to someone rather than an own goal. This goal was horrible, wasn't it? Viner, back pass, cleverly chases it in. Sarr, you can see he's cool as a cucumber there, but if you ran that back about 2 seconds, he's got all the time in the world to stick that one home. Bit of a cringy one, this one. Deflected past Bentley in the goal. Hughes with the long ranger. Sarr again, just destroying them down the right-hand side cut. Look how many players he draws to the byline in the near post. Sarr. Just Semmer's then got a free shot from 10 yards, middle of the goal. Sarr, brilliant, absolutely brilliant goal, this one. Just look how relaxed he is. Go out of your way to watch this one. Just dribbles forward, doesn't stick his through for it, just side foots it right into the corner. Lovely stuff from Sarr. And he could have put the hat-trick in Ismail Sarr, but he's going to give Zinkernagel a complete tap-in there for 6-0. Woof. And all the criticisms we've had about Watford, about being a bit dull, and maybe could they rely on some different players? Well, I'm sure it won't all just snap now and they'll win every game 6-0 between now and the end of the season. But I suspect it's going to be 4-3-3. And I suspect Mr. Deeney and Mr. Gray are on the bench for the next game. We will see. Even if one of them does return, it'd be more likely Troy Deeney. I think the new shape, well, after a 6-0 win, what else would I say is the way forward? 51 points for Watford. I suspect they ought not to worry about the top two and just try and get this this a settled system. And then if the wins come, maybe there is still a top two challenge. The home form still is just glorious. Look at that. 35 points in 15 games at home for the Hornets. Bristol City are now in the bottom half. And those subscribers and friends we've made who are Bristol City fans on the channel are just a bit, not even just a bit meh. Like, okay, where's this season going? You've given the number 2 to the guy you fired the job. Where's it going? All of that good recruitment and managing to sell on Reed and Kelly and Webster for big money. And it's like, okay, where now? And they're in the bottom half in the table with Millwall trending upwards, Barnsley predicted to trend upwards, and Preston kind of bedded in a new team and above them in the table. Forest coming hard on their heels as well. Interesting times. Let's have a look at your comments. What are you guys saying here? Arise, Lord Bloom. There we go. Always nice to see. Right. Barlio. Watch, we will be relegated. Same number of points and games played as Hull last season. I hope you're wrong, if from a Bristol City point of view. Remember, Hull really took all of the talent and the goals out of their team when they sold Krissy and Bowen, which disproportionately affected them last season, just for a fair comparison there. George, City's performance hasn't been good for months now. I've heard this. And if we don't change manager, I think we'll get dragged into the relegation battle. I'm not the only City fan. No, you're not. You're absolutely not. Finally, a bit of movement up front. Hughes in his best position. Please don't rotate on Tuesday. There you go. Have Watford turned the corner for this switch of system, which had Deeney's approval. There we go. Signed off by the boss. Hey, I remember when Bristol City were the team splitting up the parachute cards at the top of yeah. They've been the ones. Them, Brentford and Preston have been the flag bearers, but yeah, not good. City have been poor for ages, constantly changing formation and tactics. Players look confused. Not good. Not good. João Pedro could have been more clinical. Overall, fantastic game. Even when I thought we couldn't score more than 3. Also sends a big message to Deeney and Gray. And Nat hopes everyone had a nice Valentine's Day. Nat, I had a tomahawk steak. Literally the nicest steak I've ever had, I think. Holden has called for a reaction from his non-injured players. If he doesn't get it, Reading at home, he'll be gone. I think 4-2-1-3 works so well. Always 5 defending, 5 in attacking position. Such a change from a knock-on from Deanie and Gray running around like headless chickens. Indeed. Liam says something needs to change. Ben, there's a real disconnect. That's not good, is it? Especially, it's hard during lockdown times, isn't it? We're having the same thing as an Ipswich fan where you just feel out of it all. Like you can't have any say positively or negatively. Anyway, a great win for Watford. Skip the next one. There we go. Oh, good shout there, Gazza. Yeah, Watford legend. Kenny Jackett on a sabbatical from Pompey. Yeah, good luck to him. What a player he was. Jackett in the Graham Taylor era down there. Gosling looked a complete player. Yeah, another central midfielder in there as well. Debut for him. Deanie has a knee problem low on the bench. Didn't warm up before or half time, so was only there to motivate the dressing room. It seems he just needs to prove that he's this hugely influential player. People just seem to think he might be a bit of a millstone around the manager's neck at the moment. Let's move on. Reading 1, Millwall 2. Ouch. Back-to-back home defeats for Reading, who have just convinced me, no, they are a viable playoff team, Reading. And just seemingly collateral from getting ground down by Brentford in the week. They've gone under to Millwall, who are very much trending in the right directions. And Millwall hit the magic 2 points per game across 6 games now. 12 points in 6 for the Lions. 2 defeats in 11. And as I always say about pragmatic teams, you're never too far away from a winless run, but you're also never too far away from being able to say, 2 defeats in 11, if you don't lose many games and you draw lots of them, which teams like Millwall and Stoke. There you go. Stoke going the wrong way of that stat, Millwall the right way. There's your Reading team. Raphael, Holmes, Morrison, McIntyre, Gibson. So no Richards, no Moore still. Semedo and Laurent, I don't believe that for 1 minute. I'm sure Semedo played 10 and Renamotor, who plays with Laurent every game. So we'll call that then Elise, Semedo, Ejaria, and Zhao for, I suppose we can call them in for Millwall now, 12 points in 6. Białkowski in goal, Evans, Hutchinson, Cooper across the back. Romeo has got his place back from McNamara, Malone, Woods, Williams in, and a mistake. Thompson, Zahor, and John Daddy Bodvarsson. A bit of a weird goal, the first one, wasn't it? Białkowski throws it out. Williams lets it run across his body, but little did he think that Semedo, without touching the ball, was then going to boot that in from, well, look, he's 40 yards out. He's closer to the centre circle than he is the penalty box, isn't he? It's very clever by Semedo. Bit poor from Williams. Maybe Białkowski will be told not to throw the ball out down the centre of the pitch, but hey, Williams didn't cover himself in glory there. Into the second half, Matt Smith with the equaliser. Bodvarsson, not Bodvarsson, Bradshaw, isn't it? 9. I think he tries to shoot and it goes through to Smith, who finishes off. And here is the turnaround, the winning goal. It's a really good goal, actually, from Mason Bennett. Loops that header into the far corner. Cross has come in from the left-hand side. Lovely goal from Bennett. And good win, lovely win for Millwall. Again, not massive cause for concern if you're a Reading fan. They need to come back from it. They're very stable. They're very steady in their selection. They could do with getting Swift, Maite, Zhao, Elise, etc. on the pitch at the same time. Richards and Moore have been a bit unlucky with injuries. But this type of slide, if it continues much longer, the playoff position will come under threat. That's 5 points in 5 games. However, look down to 7th place. I won't reveal who's in 7th place. We'll talk about that in a second. 8-point gap, though, they've got to defend with 17 games to go. So you'd think even middling form, even 1.2, 1.3 points per game sticks them in the playoffs, doesn't it? But, hey, you never know. We've seen bigger slides than that. And Millwall edging towards the top half now. 12 points in 6. Looking better. The wins are starting to come. And they're starting to prove themselves a difficult, pragmatic opponent. And look there. 15th, 37. 7th, 40. It's very tight, and as well, we'll ruin it now, as Cardiff have proved, any decent run of points, and you are flying up that table, given how awful the point scoring from the middle of the table has been. Just a quick plug, Heroes and villains, I'm going to record later. There's a tweet out and a YouTube post. Reply to the tweet with your heroes and your villains for this week. And I will pop them in the video. Right, what have we got here in the chat? Been a good run for Millwall. Goals starting to flow. Malone has been good lately. Wallace rested indeed. George Evans, playing in the back three. Lewis can play midfield as well. Useful player to have. Millwall playing well. Team spirit to come from behind twice now. Indeed. Matt Smith's goal celebration said it all. The stare he gave Rowett. He booted the ball up in the air as well. Big man to the rescue. Again, Reading a bit wary, but Dick Dastardly Erdin taking off Holmes for Yaiden versus an aerial bombardment. Interesting. Fair play to Millwall. I think the Brentford game took a lot out of us. I think so, yeah. Renamotor didn't play at 10. Yeah, right. He did play at 10. Okay. For the first time ever. It didn't work. Swift done for the rest of the season. That is not good. Rowett subs better than Pauno's. Birmingham, Wickham, both at home next. Another 4 points from those, Chris. And then it goes from 12 points in 6 to 16 points in 8. And it's a nice, sustained run. I have a feeling Reading may drop out of the top 6. Can't see any other of the 5 teams dropping enough points. Well, Bournemouth have had their slide. Are Reading having one now? 5 points in 5 games? I suppose so. But it's a long way back. It would take a hell of a tear. We'll talk about that in just a second. On we go. Forest 0, Bournemouth 0. I didn't watch all of this. I watched the second half in the Super Stream. Pretty dull, pretty turgid from what you guys have told me. Houghton quite happy to keep up Forest's decent run of form, which is now 1 defeat in 11. 20 points in those games. 20 points in 11 games for Forest. That is a long run of good form, nearly 2 points per game, just one off. So Forest looking good, even if they're not that pleasing on the eye. But hey, we knew this is what Chris Houghton was going to do anyhow. There's his team. Samba in goal. Christie, Figueiredo, Worrell, Bong. Cafu, Garner, double pivot. Knockout, Kravinovic, Freeman. Glenn Murray starts again up top, ahead of Graben and Taylor, excuse me. Don't know if there's any injury issues there. There's your Bournemouth team under Jonathan Woodgate. Still no Bournemouth manager hired. We heard interviews were taking place last week. Woodgate still got the job. And there's a midweek round tomorrow and Wednesday, isn't there? So that's going to be, what has he done? 2 league games and a cup game now. It's going to be 4 he's done. Begovic in goal. Smith, Carter Vickers, Cook and Rico. Lerma, Pearson, Stanislas Wilshere, Dan Juma, and Long was the team. I've got no clips from this one, I have to say. It was a bit dull. I watched the highlights back and thought better of it. One big chance in the game, which went towards Bournemouth. So that's where they are on the table. I suppose if you want to stop a bad run, 4 points across 2 games meets my 2 points per game standard for a very short sample size. But a 6 point gap, is it a lock? The top 6, I don't know. It would take a big run from somebody and we can include Bournemouth in this, just 6th down to about 13th, 14th over, well, since New Year, it's just been a rubbish standard, hasn't it? And, Middlesbrough have fallen off a cliff. Blackburn had a little go. Stoke have been on a bad run. Preston, erratic. Barnsley, bad run. Bristol City, horrible run. Millwall are coming now. Luton have slid. Just nobody in those positions has been winning, other than Cardiff. We'll talk about them in a minute. So that's kept Bournemouth a bit safe. And if they can go again now, they've only lost 7 games. Quality of the squad, good managerial appointment. They'll be in the playoffs, won't they? Forest moving along nicely. Only 5 points above the drop zone. So, yeah, anything could happen. But if I'm a Forest fan and looking at 1 defeat in 11 and 20 points across those games, even though it's still going to be a bit of a wasted season, I would be perfectly happy with how Forest are going at the moment. Viv Anderson in the Sky Studio thinks Forest are on for the playoffs. Well, Viv Anderson was a great player, but I think they're too far back. But there you go. Absolutely dreadful game. We'll forget about that one quickly. Could have nicked it with Murray's header. It is what it is. Dullest game of the season. Houghton. Bournemouth in no hurry to appoint. Woodgate will take them out of the top 6. There's Chris. Forest tight at the back, but not scoring many. Can't imagine Taylor and Grabban will be happy playing second fiddle. Neither can I. Bournemouth playing with no confidence like we were under Pulis. Garner looks like he has a bright future, and it looks like he has a clause in his deal saying he has to play from Manchester United this time. Didn't look like that at Watford, did it? Great time for Forest to play Swansea, says David, with his Watford hat on, one would presume. There. Right. Let's move on to Mick McCarthy, who is doing a Merlin the Magician bit here. And anyone who was watching the Super Stream will know that we got literally the most valuable goal of the season this week, scored by Kiefer Moore on 31 minutes, where one goal with the other results, with Derby leading against Borough, with Watford leading against Bristol City and Blackburn already having lost, one goal took Cardiff up 5 places. They jumped from 12th to 7th when Kiefer Moore scored. An absolutely perfect storm for Mick. He's put 3 wins back-to-back on the trot, whatever you want to say. And given the horrible form of pretty much 6th down to 13th, and Cardiff scoring 11 points in 5 games, zoom, up they go and fly up the table. Well done, Mick. Well done, Cardiff. There are your teams. They beat Coventry, by the way, 3-1. Phillips in goal. Smithies still injured. Morrison, Flint, Nelson, Bennett and G. Volks, Pack, Harry Wilson, Murphy and Moore. And it looks like he's getting a tune out of a fair amount of these players, McCarthy. For Coventry, Morosi in goal. Rose, Ostergaard, Hyam, McCallum, DaCosta, the wing-backs. James, Allen, Hamer, O'Hare and Biamu. Let's have a look at the goals. And the first one was a great goal, actually. Big Kiefer turning his man inside out and sticking that one home. Lovely goal by Kiefer Moore, who is going to have a lovely old time working with Mick McCarthy this time around when he doesn't have McGoldrick, Selina, Garner and Wackhorn ahead of him and some more experience in goals. Here's another one, 2-0. By the way, that was the golden goal, the 5-place goal, that one. Here is a great finish by Murphy. Very clever, quick free kick by NG, the right wing back. And so simple. We said McCarthy would do this, just clever on the restarts, win your individual duels, don't make a load of mistakes. And if you've got Cardiff's year 2 parachute payment and Harry Wilson and Kiefer Moore and Murphy and et cetera, you'll start to improve. And go figure, they have. Who scored that? Dom Hyam. 3-1. Coventry, little bit of a worry because it is 10 points in the last 11 games. So over an 11-game sample size, they've just dropped below the normal 1 point per game, which normally keeps you up. If you can get 46 points on a 10-year average, you won't go down. Yes, I know there's a couple of outlier seasons where Peterborough went down with 54, didn't they? And Charlton last season, was it 48 or 49? But in the main, that's enough. Will we get a high tide season this season? If the middle of the table keep playing the way they do, I think we will. And we'll find some of them edging towards the bottom positions. Let's have a look at the table. So there's the mass leap, one giant leap for Mick up into 7th position. Still 6 points gap to Bournemouth, 8 to Reading. It's a long way off, but if Cardiff can now score 11 points from the next 5 games, for example, they would have 12 games to go and they would be on 51 points, where you start to think, okay, could they get towards 73 to 77? That's what they need to do. It's a long way back, but they've made a good start and they have capitalised big style on the ineptitude of, I mean, you can see just on the table, just nobody able to win more than a couple of games in the last 6. Coventry, 3 points off relegation. Like I say, the worry comes from 10 points in 11 games. They scored 10 points in the next 11 games. There'll be 40 games played, and they'll have 41 points. And you start to worry, don't you? Let's have a look at your comments on that one. Always love Mick as such a good manager. Got them back to basics, hard to beat. Let the attackers attack. You nailed it, Lewis. McCarthy is going to do it, isn't he? If he does, that's brilliant. If he does, he's done a hell of a job there. Surely, James, the middle of the table have got to become more competitive, and it gets harder to score 11 points in 5 games if you're Cardiff, doesn't it? Ian Holloway was on quest, tipping McCarthy to get a long-term contract after this season. He may. Pretty premature for me. Great start, but only 5 games in. No need to rush into it. Agreed. Cardiff improved for going 3 at the back and mixed simplicity attack. This is so straightforward, isn't it? He literally comes out and says it in his interviews. Win your duels. Don't make any mistakes. You know, it's so straightforward. I know. He was manager of my team for 6 years, so didn't watch this game. Sofazor suggests that Coventry had all of the second half momentum despite the result. Probably James, but we know game state and Cardiff could have been comfortable even with the attack momentum on Sofa score there. MJ can see Cardiff in the playoffs. Cardiff, the biggest threat to the top 6. And I did say that last week. Sorry to say Coventry in trouble. Hope I'm wrong. Glad we've already played our 2 games against Cardiff before Mick came on. Coventry are wretched away. Norwich and Brentford at home next, then Swansea away. Ouch, ouch, ouch. What are my thoughts on Steve Cooper possibly leaving the Swans to Palace? Palace would be lucky to have him. I'm a big Roy Hodgson fan, but yeah, Cooper's a good manager. We'll keep an eye on that. Right, Derby 2, Middlesbrough 1. Derby's good form continues, despite losing a couple of... I think Derby's narrative got a little bit distorted by the postponed games, didn't it? They're in really good form. 25 points in 15 games since McLaren came back after, if we go from after the Middlesbrough game last time where they lost 3-0, 18 points in 10 games. So despite Derby's position in the league, they're in really nice form, up to 19th. Look at that, 4 wins in 5 as well. Excellent stuff from Wayne Rooney and Derby. Some idea he's got to shape a new team, but intelligent from Rooney and McLaren here because they haven't just thrown in all the new players. You can see only Lee Gregory starting that one. So Marshall in goal, Byrne, Wisdom, Clark, Buchanan, Josh Viak, Shinnie and Knight. Now they've got to go on without Bielik. Waghorn, you wouldn't like to see him wide right too often. I've seen him play there for Ipswich, and great player, comes in on his left foot, but won't give you very much defensively in front of Byrne. Kazim Richards and Gregory up top as a 2, and both on target. There's your Borough team, and Warnock will be furious with this. Bad run for Borough. Bettinelli, Fisher, Dykesdale, McNair, Boller, Morseyhausen, Cabano, Saville, Watmore, Asomba, Longa. Here are your goals. Great work by Air Buchanan, heading this one across. Easy for Lee Gregory to pop that one in. What a strike this is. Wow. Colin Kazim Richards trying to rip the back of the net off there. It's fairly down the middle, but he hits it so damn hard it flies in to the back of the net. Great goal by Kazim Richards. Still in the team, still contributing. There is Cabano with the, well, it's a pretty instant reply, wasn't it? If I'm remembering correctly, I could be wrong about that. Cabano puts in his first goal for Borough, but Derby's good form continues and they hold out for the victory. And it's pretty opposite to Borough's form. Look at that. Borough 4 defeats in 5. Derby 4 wins in 5. So Borough slipping away. We thought we might get another Indian summer from Warnock and another playoff challenge, but 6 points off it. And I have to say, given Bournemouth's form, they wouldn't have even needed to have played that well. Just a win and a draw over any of those 4 defeats, and they would be 2 points off the playoffs. It's disappointing if you're a Borough fan here. Derby looking good, but very much like Sheffield Wednesday, Rotherham, Derby, QPR, Forest, all have had good runs, but the tide has risen. So they've got to keep it up, keep it up. No one's out of the woods down there with it being that tight at the bottom. Let's have a look at your comments. Rooney has proved everyone wrong, not me. His tactical analysis is brilliant. Shay Given is doing fantastic. Rooney said there was no point trying to play through Borough, so went 4-4-2. Nailed it again. Big result for Derby. They can win without Bielik. Yes, they can. Great finish from Kazim Richards. Agree with that. What a goal. Derby seem to be matching our results at the minute. Yeah, that I can see would be very annoying if you were a Sheffield Wednesday fan. It'd be like, come on, everyone stop winning. But I'll bring you back to Mick McCarthy's first season with Ipswich. I think this was the one where Peterborough got relegated with 54 and everyone just kept winning. So if you do get that horrible high tide and there's, say, only one whipping boy, and Wycombe are going to win this week as well, you could get, my rule of thumb of 10-year average of 46. You might need 48 or 50. Who knows? Despite the improvement in form, Derby is still only 3 points from bottom two. Can't seem to get a gap. Yeah, that's not Derby's fault, though, is it, MJ? Shows what a terrible start to the season it was. Agreed on all. Gregory and Kazim Richards worked well. Gregory ran the channels. Kazim Richards' hold-up play. Offered him a new contract. I've got to admit, I was one of the people when they signed Kazim Richards. I thought, oh, God, well, we haven't seen him for a while, and that's all they can really do. Why do they let Marriott go out? Why do they let Martin go out? Kazim Richards has been excellent, hasn't he? MJ agrees. Turns out to be an inspired signing. Ran out of excuses for Borough's poor run of form a couple of matches ago. Warnock not looking so hot now. No, he's not. Is he? Right. Let's move on. Blackburn 1, Preston 2 on Friday night. This was really entertaining. I really, really enjoyed this game on the watch along. We've got to give Preston some credit for... Actually, there you go. I was talking earlier about Brentford, and I said no one will press Brentford like Barnsley did. Maybe I'm wrong, because Preston pressed the hell out of Blackburn, didn't they, for God's sake? It was a great watch, wasn't it? And Preston get the win. Little bit of pressure on Mowbray at the moment. If any of the second quartile of those teams I've said that have all been a bit rubbish recently had been a bit good, they'd be a bit lower down the table, wouldn't they? If that's not stating the bleeding obvious. There's your Blackburn team. Kaminsky, Nyambe, Lenihan, Braithwaite, Douglas, Davenport, Travis. And then these attacking players. Look, Rothwell, Dack, Gallagher, Armstrong's decent. Iverson in goal for Preston. Really new look team. Good luck to Alex Neil, because you'd love to see a manager be able to take team one and, Pearson goes and Davies goes and Gallagher possibly retires at the end of the season and build another one. That takes some skill, doesn't it? Alex Ferguson was the master of that, and he's probably one of the three greatest managers ever, isn't he? Story, Lindsay, Hughes, Brown at right wing back, which I'm still not a fan of, but there you go. I think he can do more for you than that. But there you go. Greg Cunningham at left wing back, Whiteman, Ledson, Johnson, Evans, and Barkhuizen up top. What a goal. And if you want to laugh, I choked on my coffee when this one went in. Brilliant strike from Greg Cunningham. Touch, smooth hit right into the far corner. Look at Alan Brown in the bottom of the picture. He's switched that ball really nicely and quickly. So maybe I'm talking complete rot, and Alan Brown's the perfect guy to play wing back. I just feel some players are victims of their own versatility, aren't they? And Brown, maybe so. There's the second, bit of a rubbish goal, actually. Maybe wind-assisted corner, held up in the air. And who headed that in? Was it Lindsay? 2-1. Down goes Gallagher for the penalty. Can't be bothered to debate it. He wanted to go down. He went down. I'm not saying it is or isn't a penalty. Referee gave it. I can't think who the referee was. And Armstrong sticks it home. But Preston hold out. Perhaps Ledson should have got a red card in the second half. But again, I spend my whole life replying to comments about referees, so I just can't be bothered, frankly. Let's have a look at what that did in the table. And again, in that fallow area of the table where no one's really scoring that many points, Preston 7 points in 6. I mean, you're not going to climb that high in the table with just over a point per game, but they're into the top half. He seems to have got Whiteman and Ledson as a new partnership. Johnson signed a new contract. Brown signed a new contract. Evans played well up top with Barkhuizen, didn't he? Lindsay seems to he's going in the right direction. A lot of seemingly joined up thinking there. So good luck to him with that. And when does the pressure start to come on Tony Mowbray? Obviously, with my bias not left at the door, I'm an Ipswich fan. I like him very much for his work as an Ipswich player. But if you've got Dolan, Armstrong, Elliott, Dack, Gallagher, Brereton, Rothwell, can you fashion that into a attacking team that can make a playoff challenge? Have Borough got better players? Stoke, okay, maybe Stoke have, but feels like Blackburn have. I'm sure plenty of teams, if you could trade player for player, would trade players with Blackburn, particularly at the top end. So we'll see. They'll probably come on a good run. Again, not convinced by Branthwaite. Looks very raw. Well, thank you for Chris for pointing it out. I've only just had the light bulb moment that he's called Branthwaite and not Braithwaite. So there we go. Keeper has been the biggest problem, says Paul. What, as it pertains to Blackburn? Venky's are going to have to make a serious decision. Mowbray quite soon. Oh, be a shame. I really like the guy. I really do, but I must leave my bias at the door. In all of the times I've been to games at Ewood Park and Deepdale, I've only ever seen one goal scored. A jinx of the grounds. Buchanan will play for England in 2 or 3 years. Get that hype going, Rooney. Get the fee up. Can Preston reproduce the energy and performance against Watford tomorrow and at home? Well, that'll be an interesting acid test, especially given we think Watford could have turned the proverbial corner. Right. God. Birmingham 0, Luton 1. Well done, Luton. Good win. But you know that the story is going to be Birmingham, who are just in abject form, aren't they? Luton 10 points in 7. So I was worried about Luton and Huddersfield slipping down into that bottom 8 after good first halves of the season. And, what a difference of win mates, because Luton got one and Huddersfield probably should have got one, being 2-0 up and didn't. Birmingham, 1 win in 12, 6 points in 12. That's 0.5 points per game. Contrast that with Chris Hughton and Forest, who's got 12 points in 6. What would you rather have, 6 points in 12 or 12 points in 6? 9 home defeats in 11 games. What is going on at home for Birmingham? Just hopeless at the moment. And I come on here and I say it every single week. I don't think he's got that bad a team. I like what Karanka did at Borough, and they were so hard to beat, and he got them promoted, didn't he? At Forest, he had them like second in the league at one point before the fallout. It doesn't seem to be that same guy who's managing Birmingham, because they'd be way higher in the table if it was. And we're at the point now where, given that Birmingham sort of wiped the slate clean. Remember at the end of last season when they just had like loads of youth team players on the bench and just released everyone? To be fair to Trillian, they've then let Karanka basically build a team. I mean, look, Etheridge, Valerie, Pedersen and Dean, are not Karanka's players. San Jose is, Sanchez is, Halilovic is, Gardner isn't, Bella isn't. Hogan, he signed, but he was there last season, of course. But then you look on the bench and you think, okay, Prieto came this season, Clark Salter returned, Colin Harper came this season, Lecco, McGree, Sunjic was already there, Cosgrove, a recent £2 million signing who he's not starting. Jukovic has obviously been a mainstay for a fair while. But it does feel like there's a point where Trillian will say, these are the players that you wanted, and we're in the bottom 3. And Birmingham have been the really biggest losers in terms of the rising tide at the bottom, because they've just been, well, I said it, 6 points in 12 games. It's just not been very good for nearly a quarter of a season. No, over a quarter of a season, 12 games, isn't it? Anyway, let's say nice things about Luton, because they went there and got the win. And what we've said about Luton all season is they're good at home. They're a hard team to play against, especially good on transition, aren't they? And if you're in a bad moment, Luton will beat you. That's what they've been sort of capable of doing, and, getting a result where, maybe they're coming up against a team that's not in a good moment, which will keep you in the middle of the table, for goodness sakes, won't it? Sluger in goal, Pearson, Lockyer, Bradley, Potts, Ray, Cornick and Panzu, Dewsbury Hall, Clark and Collins. The goal is an absolute horror show. isn't it? Long throw into the near post. Everyone gets drawn under the ball. They let it bounce. I think it hits the post. And then look at Potts. Not a desirable picture if you were drawing a diagram of how to defend from a throw-in. Potts just on his own and nobody further over in the picture, and he just heads into the empty net. Let's have a look. And I mentioned Luton as a good comparison, I think, is Huddersfield, where they were both playing well at home and both sort of in the middle of the table, looking potentially good. What a difference a win makes, and what a difference 2 wins in 5 makes for Luton. So 7 points in 5, whereas you then compare to Huddersfield, we've got 2 points in 5, and you can see that's the difference between Luton being in 15th and Huddersfield being in 18th. If you're looking at it big picture, and you first of all, you use my rule of thumb that the 10-year average says a point per game keeps you up. Luton only need 9 points from the remaining 18 games to get to 46 points. So Luton would have to be abjectly rubbish and score 0.5 points per game for the rest of the season, which we've just had a pop at Birmingham for doing, to only finish on 46 points. If, like many, you believe it will be 48 or 50 points this season you need, then Luton need 13 points from 18. You can see what I'm saying. Luton don't have to post a massive total here in the remaining 18 games to get towards 50 points. And without meaning to be patronising, because I'm a big Luton fan, they're just down the road. They just need to be stable and a bit better than they were last season and keep growing. So that would be where I am with Luton. Whereas Birmingham are less than a point per game. And, you know, to get to say, let's go bad scenario. Let's say it's 48 points. So Birmingham now have 17 games to go, and they're 20 points off 48. So you start to look at it and think Birmingham need to be better than they have been in all of their games so far this season for all of their remaining games. I think they can do it. I think Karanka has been good at previous jobs. I think the team's good, but it's just not happening at the moment. And they're in a horrible run of form. And, you know, if we're doing these maths in 4 games' time, for example, well, let's say 3 games. No, let's say 5 games' time. So if we're doing this maths and there's 12 games to go, and Birmingham, for example, have played 34 games and have, I don't know, 32 points, you really would start to worry, because then you're looking at a team who just hasn't done it all season to pull out 10 points in 5 games. And you think, is that realistically going to happen, especially with that rising tide? What are you guys saying here? I think Birmingham are done for, says Nat. Luton have done us a favour there. Thoughts on Luton? Where do you think they'll finish? Hopefully, for their sake, somewhere in the middle. And I think Nathan Jones seems to be perfect fit. Someone might get a sack, says Liam. Afternoon, Ben. Needed that. 4 more in the remaining games, and that will do us. Well, exactly. And there's quite a few remaining games to go. That's Brian, isn't it? Yeah. I just want Karanka to go now, says Jay. I'm fed up of him. His interview on BBC asking on current situation, can he keep Blues up? He said no. Wow. I always remember that press conference with Gordon Strachan. It was like his first, I forget who he was managing. Do you think you're the right man for the job? And Gordon Strachan sarcastically went, no. I've come to this job. I don't think I'm the right man for the job. Stupid question. There we go. Wycombe and Birmingham are down, barring a miracle, says Sean. I'm not quite there yet, but you might turn out to be right. 2 away games for Birmingham now, then home to Norwich. Well, remember, they're better away, much better away from home than they are. God, if their home record matched their away record, maybe way higher. If Birmingham don't react at Millwall on Wednesday, it will surely be the end for Karanka, or perhaps the owners are happy to go down. I wouldn't have thought so, not having just dropped £2 million on Sam Cosgrove. Can you believe Karanka is still in a job? Yes. But like I say, give me a few more games and maybe I'll be with the Birmingham fans. Remember, I don't have the emotional attachment that maybe some of the Blues fans do. Luton have parlayed 7 away goals into 5 victories. Efficiency, Chris. 7 1-0s and 2-0 Luton. 7 1-0s and 1 2-0 away. Brilliant. Hey, 3 points is 3 points, isn't it? Well done, Luton. We played Birmingham after Stoke. Massive 6 points. So that's Wednesday, Birmingham, says Nat. Right. Loads of comments, but we will move on. Rotherham QPR was postponed. Start thinking about your team of the week and your goal of the week, guys. Rotherham QPR was postponed. Let me just click on the right button so you get to see the two teams in isolation in the table. Both sides have been in good form, but blah, 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 rising tide, not out of the woods, do-da-do, you know, all the deal at the moment. So Rangers are 17, 5 points, 4 wins in 5, and Austin returning, and something seems to have clicking recently. That's the sort of thing Birmingham would need to do to convince us, wouldn't it? Let me just remove Nat's comment there. Rotherham in really decent form, but still, you'd rather have the points on the board. Yes, I understand that they've got 2 games in hand, but they're only just scoring over a point per game. So you can only really add on 2 points there if we're being, you know, intellectually honest with our games in hand projections. Still worrying for both, more so Rotherham, you'd imagine. But hey, we'll talk about them when they play in midweek, unless we get Baltic conditions up in Yorkshire again. Speaking of Yorkshire, it was Huddersfield 2, Wycombe 3. A nice bonus win for Wycombe, who are still way adrift, but a very bad sign for Huddersfield, who, if we go back to our Luton comparison, I think Luton at 2-0 against Wycombe would win, wouldn't they? That's the difference at the moment, that Huddersfield just in a bad moment, and 2-0 up at home to bottom side Wycombe, who were 12 points adrift at the start of the game. It doesn't bode well if you're losing that game 3-2, does it? There's your Huddersfield team. Schofield, Pippa, O'Brien at left back, missing Toffolo, Sarr and Keogh. Did that unbalance the team? Did it unbalance it that badly to surrender a 2-goal leader? Vallejo and Hogg and Benza, Bakuna, Holmes. Campbell for Wycombe. Allsop in goal. Grimmer, Stewart, Tafazoli, Jacobson to get injured. Wheeler, Knight, Mametti, 2 goal scorers in there. McCleary, Ikpeazu and Horgan across the front. Here are the goals. Good one, this actually, on the basis that the assist was very good from Fraser Campbell. Think Shearer to Gaza in Euro 96, although this goal actually went in. The volleyed cross first time, and Bakuna heads in. Here's the second. Nice finish by Benza. Nice enough goal, 2-0 up. But then Killer, 45 plus 3 stoppage time, and Huddersfield get one back, and your brain just starts to go, what could happen now? Just say Huddersfield, I meant Wycombe, get one back. That is Mametti, who's playing rather well, and this is good news for Wycombe in a pretty bad season for them. Mametti and Ikpeazu both look quite good, don't they? If you did want to raise money and you had to sell, those two might bring in a bit of money or be really good in League One next season. But if they have more games like this, we won't be talking about League One next season. That is Hogg on Ikpeazu, who's a horrible guy when he's running, huge like frame and powers at goal. We've seen him do it a few times here. He wins the pen, which Jacobson, of course, scores. Got about 100 penalties last season, Jacobson, didn't he? And there it is, Josh Knight, the comeback complete, and a 3-2 win for Wycombe. Let's not make this all about Huddersfield, even though that does feel like the biggest story, because Wycombe is still 9 points adrift at the bottom and 10 points adrift of safety. So we can talk about Wycombe. Well, they'd need to basically win, I don't know, 3 of the next 5 for us to be sort of talking in any way about any kind of survival. But great win, great comeback, and it's been a not very winning season for Wycombe. So congratulations to them. Great win. However, from a Huddersfield point of view, this slide feels worrying now, doesn't it? And they haven't managed to do what Luton have done and just knock over a couple of winnable games. And I just don't get what is more winnable than 2-0 up at home to the bottom team. That really doesn't bode well for me. What doesn't bode well if you're a Huddersfield fan is Derby's good form and Rotherham's good form and Sheffield Wednesday's good form below them. They have been really good at times, Huddersfield, this season, and blown a couple of teams away. But I'd be interested in your guys' thoughts on this. No idea what's happened to Huddersfield. They didn't look bad against us. Been dragged into it now. Well, Iain got injured for the season. Karoma's out for 3 months. Toffolo's suspended. Can Wycombe string a few wins together? We'll see, Chris. They'll need to, won't they? For sure. Corberan's safe for now, but can they get something out of form? Borough. Fingers crossed if you're a Huddersfield fan. Anything else on Huddersfield there? Maxwell says Huddersfield falling like a stone. Right. Now, loads of you have put suggestions in for Team of the Week and Goal of the Week. Sorry. Do it again. Now, we'll do Goal of the Week first. Get suggestions in for your Goal of the Week, and I will show you what my poll is looking like over on YouTube. And sometimes these polls are an absolute state, I have to say. It's more a case of my subscribers who has the most supporters that are willing to vote for their team's goal, which tends to happen. But there you go. Buendia, 42%. Saar, 13%. Semedo, 14%. Kazim Richards, 20%. Cunningham, 10%. I don't know which one I like the best. I like Buendia's goal a lot, but hey, we talked about Buendia loads. Kazim Richards was a beauty, but you know me, I normally prefer, that was a proper smash it as hard as you can at the goal. I don't know, maybe Cunningham's goal for the surprise factor, although am I just being contrarian there because that's got the least votes. Let's have a look here. What are you guys saying? Goal of the week: Buendia, Kazim Richards. We got to stop for Malone, haven't we? That was all I heard last weekend when I didn't put him on the list. Kazim Richards, absolute rocket. Saar for composure. Right, there we go. Let's talk about team of the week. What else? Let me bring the suggestions up. So team of the week, I'll give you a short list. Go on. You could go for... there we go. We'll bring the scores up. You could go for Preston winning the Lancashire Derby. You could go for Luton with their 1-0 away win there. You could go for Cardiff, jumping 5 places with 1 goal. You could go for Wycombe, coming back from 2-0 down to get only their 4th win of the season. You could go for Norwich, beating Stoke. They only won 1 in 15, and we talked about Norwich a lot. You could go for Millwall, away win at playoffs, Reading. You could go for Watford, who won 6-0. You could go for Barnsley, who put a hell of a performance up at Brentford. What are you guys saying? Oh, this looks like a landslide for Barnsley, which is good news because I made them team of the week in my tribal football column. Check that out, tribalfootball.com. I'll tweet it when it gets put up. I've submitted it to the editor. Barnsley, no brainer. Bristol City, says Liam. Right. Wycombe, Barnsley, Cardiff, Wycombe, Barnsley. Kazim Richards hit the ball at 67 miles per hour. A foot like a traction engine, Alan Partridge would say. Barnsley, Wycombe and Barnsley, Wycombe, Wednesday's groundsman, Barnsley. I think we'll go for Barnsley on the basis of the chat then. Right, one more plug. please help me out. We're going to end this stream in a second. I'm going to film Heroes and Villains later today. And I've put a couple of tweets up. Let me know your heroes and villains for this week. Help me come up with these suggestions, and then I can blame you when people inevitably scream at me in outraged fashion in the YouTube comments. So you can find a tweet. You can find a Facebook post. If you're on Patreon, I've put it all up there. And there's a YouTube post as well. Go and vote in the poll. There we have 69 votes so far. Buendia ahead on goal of the weekend. Lots of good stuff coming up this week. There will be no stream tomorrow night because I'm doing Blue Monday stuff. It's my stint on Blue Monday. Ipswich playing Northampton tomorrow. We'll do a super stream on Wednesday night. We'll do a preview show at 1 p.m. Tomorrow. We'll do a review show at 1 p.m. on Wednesday. Plenty of stuff. You can watch me whine about Ipswich, no doubt, beating Northampton, but still having no hope of beating anybody in the top six because they never do, and being generally grumpy about the state of things at Ipswich. Ho-hum, ho-hum. Thank you, everybody, for watching. This has been great. Huge numbers here. Let me know, actually. Maybe I'll do a poll. Do you prefer the review show on a Monday rather than a Sunday? Actually, let me know. Let me know down there. Can we do a quick straw poll? Just say Sunday or Monday, because we've got better numbers here on a Monday than we normally do. Oh, no, we normally do get good numbers as the show goes on a Sunday. But let me know what you think if we take a quick straw poll while I do the thank yous here. Let's say thank you to Russ, our fan sponsor. Brilliant from him. Fan and now friend, despite being terrible taste in football teams. Russ, a big supporter on Patreon, helping me hopefully get to my dream of being able to do this for work and to make enough money to pay the bills and just bang on about football and interact with you great bunch all the time. Quick plug, no super chats today. It's not compulsory, but it's the most direct way to support the channel. Patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Like I said, we're going to record the first Classics Reviewed tonight. We are talking about Reading 1, Southampton 3 in 2012. We are talking about Leeds 2, Wimbledon 2, Leeds 4 in 1995. The Yeboah goal in that game. And we're talking about Man United 3, West Brom 5 in 1978 as well. Look out for those. They'll be clipped on YouTube, but the only place you get the whole show is on Patreon. Please hit the like button and comment before you go. A lot of votes for Monday, actually. Okay. I will listen to the people. Yeah, it depends if they're making a fair comment. Monday. Okay. Okay. Monday. Yeah, especially where we're in lockdown. Maybe we'll do it on Monday. Let's see. You guys have voted for Monday, and as always with YouTube, we'll see what the numbers say. The metrics normally gets us huge numbers for Brent. Yes, that was great. Thank you, everybody who joined me yesterday. I think 3,500 views on that one. So fantastic stuff. Right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. This has been the Championship review for round 29. I'll see you in the week for loads and loads of content. But for those of you who are inevitably going to ask, we won't be live on Tuesday night doing any championship stuff. That will be on Wednesday. Right. I've talked myself into submission. I'm going to say thank you very much for watching and a big over and out. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button and to be notified every time we upload. Ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.